Well, just of course excited. Knowing that we're of course foregone conclusion. We knew we were going to be in the tournament. Had an idea maybe we'd go to Gainesville once we saw Florida State was going somewhere else. We pretty much had an idea this was going to be the place where we were going. So right now we're just trying to pull up as much information as we can on schools. It's like a hurry up and get ready type of a deal. South Alabama obviously is our first opponent, so we're trying to get as much information on them as we can because we don't know anything about them. Florida ourselves, we do know a lot about each other there, but can't get to Florida if you don't take care of the first game, which is going to be South Alabama. So we're excited. We had success early in the year in Gainesville playing in that new park, and that's a good thing for our guys mentally. I think going back there. Knowing that we have had success there. They're a different team now, sure, and we are too. This is the time of the year where we got to, really step it up. It's been a tough year for us from an inconsistent standpoint. We've showed signs where we can play really, really good, and we've showed signs where we can't. And, this is not the time for that. If you're going to have any hiccups, you're not going to be playing very long. So we need to be at our best as we go forward, because the team that plays the best, the hottest team, is going to be the teams in Omaha. That's plain and simple.
All right, Gino, our first question for you comes from David Ferones of the Sun Sentinel. David, go ahead.
Hey, Gino, can you talk about the sense of urgency for this year's team? Some veteran guys who maybe were part of the 2019 tournament team that, want to add a College World Series appearance to their resume and get there. And also just how this team is responding after the 0-2 in the ACC tournament, if you could, please. Thanks.
Yeah, so the urgency is pretty simple. It's right there in front of you. The weekend could be over, and it will be over for 32 teams at the end of this thing. It'll be over for, am I right by saying that? 32, I guess, half the teams, whatever. It's going to be over for a lot of teams here at the end of this weekend. And if they want to continue their career here at Miami and continue playing and make this season a successful one, we are going to have to make some adjustments. Some of the guys you mentioned, veteran guys that have had okay years, but maybe not the kind of years we were hoping for and they were hoping for. And certainly things that we've tried in terms of making adjustments with haven't happened maybe as quickly as we'd like or consistently. They show signs of it, but not on a consistent basis. And so, that's something that the urgency is a good word, because it's going to be here before you know it, Friday. And, only so many teams can move on. I guess I'm wrong when I said that number. 16 teams going to move on here. So, for me, I think that our guys understand that, and I know they're excited. I mean, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster season. I'm not sure we're the only one that's gone through a lot of ups and downs, but we certainly have had our fair share of them. And how we handle it is going to be the key to our success. You mentioned we went 0-2 in the ACC. It's to me, it's we got to score more runs. We got to swing the bat better. I thought we pitched and played well against Duke. Obviously, Duke was playing very, very well, and we had our chances, but we couldn't score enough runs. That's plain and simple. We got to find a way to swing the bat better, score more runs, and that's something I know that's been an emphasis of ours, and hopefully we can catch on fire here this weekend with our offense.
All right, Gino, we're going to go to Susan Miller-Degnan of the Miami Herald. Susan, go ahead.
Hey, Gino, congratulations.
Thank you.
A couple things. One is the College World Series. I know David mentioned it, but that's always the end game. I mean, especially for a baseball coach of a major program like yours. I mean, that's always in your mind, right? How great would that be for you?
Well, it would. It this year's again been an unusual, year. There have been times. It's not many, but there's been times. Yeah, we've gone on the road and been able to win on the road in a regional and a super regional and get to Omaha. And that will happen this year. Not every single team that's hosting is going to move on. There's going to be upsets. There's going to be teams that you will see moving on to the super regional that was not a host, not one of the 16 hosts. You'll see teams that go to Omaha that were not one of the 16 hosts. That's going to happen. And I told the players that it happens every year, maybe more so this year than ever. I just feel like this year is just so much parity has gotten more and more prevalent in all of sports. I'm sure you all see that. But it maybe more so in college baseball. It's at its height this year. There's just a lot of good, solid teams. Yes, there are some teams that are maybe stick above the others, but there's a lot of very good teams that can beat anybody on any given day. And so these regionals, they can come in very quick, can happen very, very fast, and in a good way or in a bad way. So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously would be extremely gratifying to go through everything we've gone through and be able to come out of this thing on top and be, where we always preach, we want our program to be. Well, I mean, not being a host is not, it was not in the plans. We want to be a host. You want to be a top 8 seed. That gives you the best opportunities, which is what you want as a coach. But that's not always going to be the route, and we have to accept what we're in, and we got to make the best of it.
And the other, I just wanted to know about playing in Gainesville. I mean, I've been to games there, not at that stadium, but I know what kind of crowd they have. Every home team has a great crowd, but Florida, it's tough to play there with a full, full.
Yeah. Well, when we played there early in the year, remember, it was obviously the COVID restrictions. It wasn't but a few thousand people, if that, maybe. And I know the capacity is a lot more than that. So I'm sure this will be interesting because, the NCAA has opened up the crowds to where they can be full capacity. And here, we and a lot of teams, especially in our conference, played in front of really no crowds or very small crowds. So this is going to be interesting how teams handle it. They can handle it in a very, very positive way and be excited for the fact that finally we got fans out there, which is a great, great motivator. But also it can work against you too, obviously, if they're cheering against you. So that's something that we're going to have to handle. I don't know how big their crowds will be. We've played in Gainesville and regionals before, and super regionals, I guess regionals, I should say. And so, yeah, it's a tough place to play. But again, I'd like to think that having some success there early in the year certainly is going to help us and our guys.
And one last quick thing. When are you announcing the starting rotation?
Well, we won't announce a rotation. We'll announce a starter of the first game, and we'll probably do that tomorrow. So this will obviously what we're doing now and spending the rest of the day. We just found out like you did. So we'll spend the rest of the day getting a feel for matchups and, with the scouting reports and seeing who can be more effective and whatnot. And then we'll probably make some announcement, I would think, by tomorrow on opening game.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, Gino, we have time for a few more. We're going to go to Jason Parker of NBC6. Jason, go ahead.
Coach, you talked a little bit about the inconsistency, win 8 out of 10 games to end the regular season, then you go 0-2 in the ACC tournament. So 2-part question. Number one, what was your message to the team after the ACC tournament about having to be more consistent in the postseason play? That's the first part. And then the second question kind of goes along with it. Everyone's already looking ahead at the possibility of Miami, Florida on Saturday. How do you keep the team focused on South Alabama and saying, hey, like you said, you got to win one game at a time? Yeah,
well, the message to the team at the end of the season is the season has been a tough one. It's been an up and down, inconsistent year. But I did tell the guys, and you're right, we did win 8 out of our 10 last games. I feel good about our team and how we're playing on a pitching side and a defensive side, although I know Florida State, we kicked it around. But we have been playing excellent defensively, and we've been pitching well. Our bullpen certainly has been a big part of that, along with the guys starting. Jake Smith's been great, and some of the other guys. But we got to find a way to swing the bat better and score runs. It's plain and simple. Mentioned that to the guys, but I also mentioned to them, the thing that I said earlier about just understand this. There's going to be upsets. There are going to be teams that are not going to be hosts. They're going to win regionals, and they're going to go to super regionals, and they're going to be upsets there. And you got to make sure you understand that this thing is wide open. There's 64 teams. Everybody is 0-0. And these weekends go by very, very quickly. And again, the hottest team is going to be the teams that advance and move on. And for us, we've got to put it all together. And that's why I mentioned that the offense is something we've got to do a better job of, or we're going to make it very hard on ourselves to advance if we can't find a way to score more runs. So that to me was kind of the main message. I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Sorry, no, that was the second question. Was more talking about how you get them to focus on South Alabama. Everyone's already
Yeah.
looking at,
Yeah.
minus Florida.
Yeah, well, that'll be easy. I mean, we got to understand that you're not going to, there is a chance you don't even play Florida if you don't come ready to play in the first game. And, that's something that happened to us, if you recall, a few years ago. And I don't think it was a lack of focus. We actually jumped up ahead on with Central Michigan. But we had trouble in 2019 of finishing games. If you can remember, we had a lot of leads that we just blew. And that was the back end of the bullpen. We had great starters, but the back end of our bullpen wasn't able to, kind of close it out for us, where we feel that is probably the strength of our team is the back end of our bullpen. And so, yeah, I mean, that's something that, we'll probably bring up, and the fact that you better be understanding that the first game, if you don't, and you don't come ready to play, you're going to put yourself into a big, big bind. Because now you've got to go play 4 more games. If you lose that first one, it's 5 total games you've got to play to get through the whole thing and win it. And so the key obviously is win the first game. And then that next game is always that driver's seat game. You win the second game. If you can win the first 2, now you've assured yourself you're in the championship. Somebody's got to beat you twice, and you're only going to have to play 4 at the most. But if you lose one of your first 2 games, it's going to take 5 games. And so that first game, obviously you won the first 2. The first game is going to be extremely important for us to get off on the right track.
All right, Gino, we're going to go to Wyatt Copeland of UMTV. Wyatt, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, obviously last year, the veteran core on this team had the opportunity at chasing a regional, super regional taken away from them last year. How confident are you that they can bring the best leadership possible to Gainesville, regardless of who they end up playing, whether it be South Alabama and or Florida?
Yeah, no, I mean, our leadership, I think, is good. It's you get caught up in all this different stuff and the chemistry and the leadership and it's all important. Don't get me wrong, but to me, it's about certain guys. You got to clean up your mechanics. You've got to have a better approach at the plate. You've got to lay off of these certain pitches. You can't be undisciplined. We need you to get on base. We need this guy to hit the ball the other way. These are things that take care of all of a sudden, the chemistry is great and the mentality is great. Why is it good? Because you guys are doing the things the way it's supposed to be done, which we haven't. We've been inconsistent. And I'm just giving an example, say on the offensive side, but we've got to be able to do things that are going to help us be successful. And we know what they are. And yeah, we have veteran guys. We have a number of guys that came back, from last year's team. And they understand that this is, for a lot of them, going to be their last opportunities to make a run at this in their UM uniform. And so we need to really buckle down and make sure we're doing the right things. And us coaches make sure we're communicating the right things and trying to get it across to our guys and making sure I was a little late to you guys because I was meeting with a lot of players individually just to make sure this could be the last week. We don't want it to be the last week, but we got to make sure we're doing everything we can to put ourselves in the position to be successful.
All right, Gino, 2 more. We're going to go to Josh White of WVUM. Josh, go ahead.
Hey, Gino, congratulations. I know you mentioned just the crowds, and obviously it's going to be 100% that the NCAA allowed. And at the beginning of the year, it wasn't 100% at Florida. Just how can the experience in 2019 for some of the guys that are back on this team help them that have played in a packed house like the Mississippi State?
Yeah, no, that'll help. I think, Josh, and you're right. We have a number of guys that played in that game. Or games, I should say. But of course, the one big one was the crowd we had with Mississippi State. So I think it'll help. That atmosphere there is about as crazy as you're going to see and loud, and the fans are right there on top of you. So I think it's something important that our veteran guys are able to talk with our younger guys. I do think I'd like to take the side of guys being excited in a good way, in a positive way, that finally we get to have fans. And I don't even know, maybe Florida has opened it up and they've been able to play in some more fans. We haven't in our conference, if you've noticed, and of course our ballpark, it's been very limited. So this could be a very good kind of kickstart, energize our guys in a positive way, where we have people in the seats that are making noise. And sometimes that's just a good thing to have. I mean, as a former player, I can tell you, playing in the minor leagues in front of a few hundred people in the Florida State League is not very motivating, as opposed to playing in some ballparks in college where you had 10, 15,000 people, or in the Omaha, 25,000 people. It's just a different feeling. And certainly some players handle it differently than others. And we got to make sure our guys are handling it in the right way that's going to help us in a positive way. And I think that's good. It's a good thing to be able to go back in time a couple years and talk about that series at Mississippi State, how much fun, even though we ended up on the losing side, man, it was a great atmosphere. If you're a college player, that's what you want to play in.
All right, Gino, thanks for taking the time to talk with us, and good luck in Gainesville.
Okay, thank you.